Hi. Okay, so this video is going to be centered on proper care, TLC, tender loving care for our hands. Our hands, especially as an artist or creator of such, we use our fingers and everything constantly, and there are certain pains that we may experience from even just using like the computer or just things that we do on a day-to-day basis. We get the cramping in our fingers and stuff like that. So this video is centered on caring for our hands. This is something that I do daily. I do it at least once to twice a day. And again, it's not so much as the quantity of time you spend on doing something, it's more on the quality of time spent on something. So, I find myself that I do this on the train, walking, sitting down where, I'm not moving in some kind of way. So it's all about finding that moment in time, and even if it lasts for like 2 minutes or whatever the case may be, it's still being done. It's still providing the outcome of proper nourishment and care that I am seeking for pain relief on my own hands and stuff, since I too use it regularly, especially as an energy healer. Like, I get a lot of heat transferred to my hands. My hands sometimes feel heavy and swollen. My fingers used to cramp up. They don't any longer. I would like to say that it's due to this kind of practice. This is centered on just that kind of stuff. Our hands, we use them, so they need to be stretched. We have our carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. So each of our phalanges, the 4 here, I'm excluding the thumb, each have 3 joints. The joints, it's important to work around each joint, allowing for blood flow and circulation to hit. So we have 3. So our fingers, you have one right here, and another right here. On our thumb we only have 2, so it's here and then here. So just note that. Those are different axis ways. These are different places where we need to allow for blood flow and circulation, and allow for the new blood flow to circulate and create the fluidity and movement that we need to happen internally with our muscles, organs, and joints and blood streams and all that other great stuff. So okay, so our fingers, I like to bend my fingers backwards. I start out slow. Remember, you're not doing it to my full extension, you're doing it to yours. In time, you will find more expansion with your stretching, because we must stretch everything. Like, our body is our vessel, our temple. So this moving back, I find that when I breathe into this space, because I'm breathing into this space now, I find that there's more expansion that happens with every single breath. So and I'm just releasing tension that's even here on my hands. So I like to bend all my fingers back, as far back as they can go. So here you go, and I hold it for a few seconds. I feel the relief and the release of certain tensions taking place. I even feel the resistance, and I'm not trying to hurt myself. So even with its resistance, I'm not forcing it. I'm just breathing into the space. Same thing, with every single finger, pulling them back. You should feel huge release even just on your palms of your hands. So, this stretching, it feels mighty good. This is just one part. Now you have, you do this to all your fingers. I'm raising my hands because I'm recording, but again, this can be done lowered over here. So, you know, I'm just showing it for the camera part of this. Here you go. The thumb as well. I like to take the thumb and bend it back as far back as possible. Here you go. I'm not hurting myself again. I'm doing it to my body's capabilities here. So I do have a cut in my hand, so it's a little sore, but you know, again, I'm not trying to hurt myself. So, you know, at this point of just doing this, this is not hurting my cut, so I'm good with that. So, you know, we have to pump the blood in our hands. Here you go. Now remember, I was saying that each of our phalanges have 3, so you want to move all 3 joints in each of the fingers to create new blood flow and resistance. So you grab, turn, you circulate in each direction, one way, the other way. Now you stabilize the other 2 joints, and you take the middle that you have here, and now you're just moving that in a circular motion as well. And now you're moving it this way as well. Now you're going to go to the tips, and you're going to take that, because you're stabilizing. I hold, you know, I put my thumb behind there to hold the other joints in place so that I can isolate this joint here and, you know, move it in a circular motion as well. So, you know, in every single direction. So I do this with every single one of my fingers. So, you know, I'm taking the bottom and circulate in a circular motion. Then I stabilize the bottom. Now, my focus is the center. I'm here doing that, and I'm circling in a circular motion. Now, the top, again, stabilizing the rest of it, and just moving the top. You should already feel like a release, like your fingers, everything is going to turn red, because that's just new blood flow circulating and pulsating through your hands. So, you know, it's a good thing. We all want new blood flow. So, you know, I do that for each of the fingers, stuff like that. I also like to press the fingers together and like this, and you're pressing, and it's like you're pressing this way with your right hand, you're pressing this way with your left hand, and you're pushing the force together. So, you know, and kind of like a straight, so it's kind of like you're trying to close your palm, but you're not. In essence, you're like pushing your fingers back. Okay? And then you keep on doing this, the strengthening of our fingertips, especially if we use it, especially if you make stuff with your hands and stuff like that. I mean, this is essential to all of that as well. So now you have that. What I like to do, remember, all of our joints, everything that we have, our bones or connectors and things like that, they all have axis, like to pivot, and so which makes each of these joints movable in more than one direction. So we did back, so what about forward? So now we're gonna bend our fingers forward in this kind of stretch, and I like to kind of take the tips of the fingers and pull them down. You see, pulling them down, each one pulling it down. I'm stretching my fingers downwards here, pulling it down. Here you go, pulling it down. This feels kind of good on my middle finger right now. Like, I didn't realize that there was some soreness around here, so this feels good. You know, I do it to each of the fingers. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Now, that was one way. We did front, we did back, now to the side. So you take your pinky and you're stretching it as far as you can. I like to hold. Sometimes I walk my finger to the stretch, and you feel it, the whitening. Once I let go, all of the blood flow is going to rush, and this hand is going to be really red. Do the same thing for each finger. You're moving it, you see how my joint, you got to be careful here, you know, you're finding the stretching point for you. You want to also support your hand. You don't want to just rip your fingers off, you know, that kind of thing. So you're supporting. Do it with each finger. Supporting. Here you go, you're turning. And you're doing the same thing. Now we have the other way. Do it with the thumb. Thumb is always a little bit more not as flexible as the other fingers, but you know, we still do it anyways because it's still a stretch. Now we got this way. See, they don't stretch my fingers not as much as, you know, the pinky goes to the side here. It's pointer, but you know, that's its limit. That's my extent right now. And remember, usually, typically, I'm trying to do this fast, but you know, we are usually breathing into these spaces. Same thing for each of these fingers. You know, bend them to the sides. So, you know, you heard that crack. So, you know, you have this going for yourself. Now, remember, we have different points. I always like to press this. This is a good pressure point and stress reliever for us all. So pressing into this may feel tender for some. The point is here. You're going to press in and press in, and you just massage it kind of like in a circular motion here. I like that to do that in between all of the fingers for, you know, it does feel good. Here, here, and here. Stretching and pulling our fingers. 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 Stretch back. You know, and of course, whatever you do with one side, you do to the other. So, do that. Bend all my fingers back. See all that blood flow and circulation. Once I release it, it's just going to be like really, really, really red. For the most part. Here. Like what they do when you go for a hand massage at the nail salon and they go like this. It's good to do this to yourself as well. I like to press into my hands. You kind of move around and feel wherever your little body pains in your hands and just follow that movement. Follow that feeling. Listen to your body. Where is it telling you to go? Tighten, release. Tighten, release. Tighten, release. Here we go. Do you see the difference of my hands? 1 and 2. Well, this hand I was still doing stuff like this, but if you can see how much redder this hand is and lighter it feels. Namaste.